Welcome back. I hope you guys have enjoyed the journey so far, and that you're taking in everything that I'm saying, and you're finding out if the information that you're actually getting is accurate in accordance to wherever you are in the world. This video today is especially for those who live in UK, born and bred in UK, have the right to stay in the UK, and you've been living in the UK for about 5 years. Now, if you're ready or you're looking to rent a room in London, in the UK at the moment, I'll say for you to stop and just listen to what I have to say before you make your decision, or maybe even gather the information that I'm saying independently and then make your decision. This is to help open your eyes and help yourself in the current situation. Now, if you are 17 and you're young and you're thinking about coming to London or renting out a room, no matter wherever you are in the UK, or you're just finishing university, it's more the university students that do this, right? I would say don't do it. The reason why I'm saying don't do it is because not only are you paying an inflated rate for a room, you're also going to be working tirelessly to pay off your bills. Now, what generally happens is that you get your first job, you're not paid so much, right? So you have to work a lot. If you go and you rent out a room, what ends up happening is you pay between 600 to 700, maybe even more for actual room, and then you have to live with complete strangers for a certain amount of time. You don't get any say in who comes in and out of your premises. You literally don't have much privacy except for your room. It's not like university where everyone's on the same level. You will meet people from different walks of life, and this can be stressful, right? Don't get me wrong, there are people doing it now and they are able to survive, but that's the thing. What you will be doing is you'll be coming out of your family home, of a comfortable situation, to survive. Eventually you may end up in a relationship, and those two who are surviving can then get together, and then things can start to be easier with two incomes. But until that process happens, you're going to literally be surviving. Before I get into the solution, I want to tell you about someone that some of you have heard of but actually may not know anything about. And the person I want to talk to you about is Margaret Thatcher. Now, Margaret Thatcher was the first female prime minister, or maybe even the only female prime minister. I'm not really too sure about that. But what I do know is that Margaret Thatcher, when she was in office, she was the only, in my opinion, prime minister to do things for the people. Now, during her time of reign, the ability to buy houses was starting to, be a thing. And she foresaw the property market. This is what I believe. Because what she did next will enable anyone who lives, resides, legally is able to stay here, an opportunity to not only own your own home, but to get it at local prices. Now, I say local prices, you might be thinking, what the heck is he talking about? All right. Every time you fly, if you have a passport and you've gone on holiday, whenever you go to the Middle East, Africa, some places in the Caribbean, you'll find that there are tourist prices and there are local prices, right? The same rings true for here. Those who are supposed to be renting out rooms, exactly what you're doing, are supposed to be students and international students. Students and international students, holiday makers. These are the people who have the money to pay those fees. They have the money, so they will live in expensive homes anyway, right? Those of you who are working day to day in England are not supposed to be competing with those people who are frivolous with cash. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but if you are going to university, you have little to no responsibility by yourself, and the loan that you get is only for you. Hence the reason why I'm saying frivolous with money. You can spend the money on absolutely anything you like, whereas if you weren't going to university, you didn't have a loan, you wouldn't be spending in the same rate, right? So if you're working, you're out of college, out of uni, out of whatever the situation is, you should not be renting out a room. But if you are, here's what you do. Margaret Thatcher made it possible for every single one of you, if you have been living in your borough for a minimum amount. In London, the rule still applies as 5 years. Outside London, it's between 18 months and 24 months. It depends on the area and the borough you live in. If you are able to maintain a 5-year residency in a certain borough in London, you have the right to go to the council and put your name on the council list. The council list may take another 5 years for you to actually get that property. But when you do get that property, 1-bedroom flats are £110 a week. Inside London, you are actually paying more for your bedroom as you would for a whole flat if you went along with the process of what you're entitled to. When I say council, a lot of people will turn their nose up at it, but you are legally entitled to this situation. Everyone who is rich now, at least 70% took advantage of this opportunity, meaning the people now, their parents or grandparents took advantage of this opportunity. Houses in Notting Hill used to go for 30,000. These houses are now 3-4 million each. Houses in Notting Hill were council properties. These houses are now being privatized because the council tenant who bought them sold them on. And these houses are now worth millions. Margaret Thatcher made it possible for you, a common person, someone who doesn't hustle, doesn't want to do any of the things that I mentioned before, someone who just wants to live life, work on a normal 9 to 5, be able to elevate through the classes. You can be from poor, go to middle class, go to high class by just following what she set out for you. If you are 17, you don't even have to tell your parents or tell the council, I want to leave, they're kicking me out. No, just put yourself on the council list. What would happen is, by the time you finish university, a 1-bedroom flat should be already available to you. If you're outside London, you'll probably get this flat quicker because there are less people to compete against. Doing this would allow you to also buy the house if you can maintain it once you have it for a certain amount of years. Once you buy the house, you can rent the house out and then come and live in London. By that time, if you were 17 and you finished university and you maintain the house, by the time you're able to buy and rent out this property, within whatever field you study in, you would have enough experience to compete properly with those in London for a good fee. The problem with society today is that everybody's in a rush and hurry to be independent and to be free. But what you don't understand is you're running into a trap where it's an endless cycle. And these estate agents will take your money all day long. What you need to do, and for you parents, it is important, it's imperative that you get your child on the council list. You don't have to say you're kicking them away. They're entitled to a home. Get them on the council list, because it is your responsibility to make sure that they are fully independent and able to look after themselves before you are unable to. Getting them a council property would make sure that they are paying local prices. No matter what they earn, they should be able to manage all effects. It also incentivizes them with the possibility of being able to buy the property at a discounted rate. Getting your child a council property is not belittling them or making them look like they're getting help. Everybody is entitled to this, as long as you are a UK resident. This information is vital. If you are moving rooms from one room to another room, make sure you stay in the same borough. If you stay in the same borough, your 5 years in London can continue from the first tenancy to the last tenancy upon your application. If you move and change boroughs, you have to start a new 5-year again. Hence the reason why I said stop. Take this information, find out if I'm correct, and if I am, make sure you move into the right area. I'm not going to say stay living with people you don't know, don't trust, don't like. Whatever the situation is that you want to move, do that. But use your head. Can you buy a house in 5 years? Can you buy a house in 7 years? And if you buy the house, would you be buying a house at a discounted rate? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. And if the answer is no, you definitely need to put your name on the council list. Even in 2022, Margaret Thatcher's rule still stands. You are entitled to a roof over your head as a British citizen. You don't have to be renting out rooms and competing with people who have frivolous money and loans. You don't have to be doing that. If nothing I said makes sense, I want you to think about this. During the pandemic last year, if you weren't in a room and you was in your own council flat, how much different would it have been? If you weren't paying the bills that you were paying at the rate that you was paying, tourist prices, how much better would that isolation have been for you? This is something to think about, and I think it's a very, very important information that I share, because most people are too busy to sit down and share it. Those who know. If you don't take this information and act upon it, what will happen is that you will continue to stay in your room. When you eventually tie the knot with somebody else and try to buy a house, if not for investment purposes, you won't be able to buy a home where you grew up. You won't be able to buy a home in familiar surroundings. Like many people, you would have to buy a home outside of London. If you want to stay inside of London, the council will give you a property inside of London in the area you grew up in. There are a plethora of council properties that are still empty today. And if none of you claim them, they'll sell them. And they have been doing so for the past 20 years. Claim your rights. You are entitled to a home at local rates. And this home that you are entitled to will propel you through society once you sell or rent.